Hey, Barry here with HeadwatersLakeFellsmere.com, bringing you the latest in learning the lake videos. Today we've got something super special. I just stumbled across this last night, and I figured I better get this out here because, hey, some of you may have stumbled across this same map. A lot of you may not have. So either way, we're going to cover it today. What we have is a contour map now for the Headwaters area. This is going to cover the Fellsmere Reservoir area on down through to the Egan area. A lot of the spots down there. So this will give us a good idea on where to find in this particular lake high points, humps, whatever you want to call them. I think these are going to be probably the most sought out and sought after areas to fish because this is a bit different being a man-made lake. There's no rivers, streams feeding this lake to give us the different types of structure that you may find in other areas, other fisheries. So the high points going to deeper water are probably going to be what is the most popular places to find fish and to actually go fish. And it's an easier way of looking at this map to eliminate some areas that you may be just thinking, well, you know, this is the wrong time of year to be fishing. Some of this deep water may be the wrong time, you know, whatever it may be. Everybody has their own way that they look at these things, but I definitely want to cover with you what we have now available. So just to give you a perspective of where we're at, this is the ramp area right here, and then over here on the Google map the ramp area is right here. I'm going to go ahead and mark out this is the S Canal. I'm just going to draw a line down, not a very straight line. We get to here, S Canal, East-West Canal, and then somewhere in this neighborhood and we've got that 45 kind of cut that comes down this way. Okay, so that should give you a good idea where we're at, where we are in the lake itself, because covering up some of this section makes it a little bit more difficult to remember where exactly things are at and get a perspective on it. We know that if you keep coming down here to the end, okay, that's going to be this section over here, and we do get a little bit of information as far as some high points and some deep water. And as we're running here, this is the continuation right here of the East-West Canal, continuing over to the East Bank over here. Okay, so it shows you some shallow spots, deep areas along the way to go ahead and consider. So I'm going to do a slow scroll down, and then we'll go ahead and zoom in so you get a little better understanding. We've got a nice high point here we're going to look at. We've got some more drop downs into a little bit deeper water here. We've got a really interesting point here, and definitely an interesting point here that or place. So I better use place instead of point because these aren't necessarily points, but points of interest, places of interest. And then we have these three cuts that are right here, which on the Google Maps reside right here, 1, 2, and 3. That's 1, 2, 3 here. This one being the most interesting to me. So this video is not going to be an instructional video on how to read contour maps. They do not include the numbers for the depths of each of the contour lines, but you do get a good idea knowing that the lake ranges 12, 15, 17, in some spots maybe 20 feet, but that's about as deep as it's going to get. So mostly we're looking at these humps with some fast drop-offs into those deeper water areas to go ahead and target when it comes to looking for those big fish. Okay, so setting aside the Google Maps, I'm going to go full page on this contour map here since we have a good idea of where we're at, where everything's at, and just basically take a hard look at the points, or the high spots here, the humps, high spots, whatever you want to call them. Whoops, drawing lines I didn't want to draw. Get rid of this guy. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll start up here. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because I want you to see the whole map while we're doing this video. But then once you get your hands on it, you can go ahead and take your time, compare it to the Google Maps, and know exactly where these spots are at. In 1 second. Okay, so to give you an idea of what I'm talking about when we're talking about high spots, these are going to be shallow areas relative to the surrounding water. Okay, so this is a shallow hump. Let me find my pen. This area right here, okay, is a shallow hump in this area right here. And then based on these lines, the closer they are together, the more of a decline there is, the more of a straight up and down there would be, to put it that way. When they take their time, they're spread out further, then it's a slower decline. It's more like a ramp, where you come out a ways, drops off a little bit, come out, drops off a little bit, comes down, drops off a little bit. Where on the side, like this here, this drops off really fast on this one, right in this area. It's just almost straight down. Okay. In between these two, there's another good thing to kind of keep an eye out for. Some people call them saddles, and this may not be the perfect example of a saddle, but you can kind of look at it as one, because you have this high spot here that drops into deeper water, and you've got this high spot here, and in between the two we've got deeper water running here. Okay, so that's always a good place to look, in between two high spots with a deeper water run between them. So check those out. Coming on down, I'll just kind of circle them. Here's where we're moving. Here's another high spot here that's running into deeper water. This whole area right here is some shallower high spots, humps underwater. Not sure exactly how far underwater they are. Again, they didn't give us any numbers on these, but that's okay. As long as we know that they're a higher spot that leads into deeper water, that's what matters. This one drops off much faster on the one side. You can see it's a good example of what we're looking for. A slower decline into deeper water on the south side. North side, a lot faster drop off. You can see how close these lines are as they move out into this deeper water. Coming on down, close this up a little bit so we don't lose our perspective of where we're at in the big picture. We're still in the reservoir area. And once you get hold of this, you can go ahead and take it, section by section, and kind of look at all the different areas where the water, it goes from a shallow to a drop off into deeper water. Looking for longer areas where that happens. This is since I've blown that up, this is actually the east-west canal. I got my line off there. There we go. You can see here where this drops off into deeper water coming out here. We got lines really close together. It takes a little longer to get into any kind of deeper water here. It's all fairly still shallow here. Coming on down, I'm just going to go ahead and start picking off the points of interest that Dave and I are going to start doing videos on, because now that we have access to this, it's going to make it even better for us putting the videos out for y'all, because we'll take a section like this here, square it off. We'll show it to you on this contour map. We'll show it to you from a depth finder view on the boat, from a down scan perspective. We'll show you what it looks like vegetation wise on the surface, what's around it, and all that kind of stuff, and let you know what the vegetation is, so that you can get a really good idea if this is an area that you're going to want to fish. Looking at this one here, we've got high spot dropping off to deeper water here. We've got it dropping off faster to deeper water here. We've got another high spot here that's dropping off into deeper water, and this is another, we'll call it a high spot because it is dropping still into deeper water. So this is a really interesting area to fish. We've got this deeper water run in between this one, and this one is all in here. This is all deeper. So definitely something to check out there. I'm not going to pick up on all of them as we're cruising down. This is pretty much just open, deeper water. There's not a lot going on there for depth changes. There's not a lot for high spots till you get to right here. This is where you can see we definitely have a high spot right in this area that leads down into deeper water at a pretty quick decline here. These lines are pretty close together. So this should be a good area leading from the shallow to the deep. So you could be throwing lures up onto the shallow and pulling them back across this drop off here and see if you can find something there. Coming on down, let's go back to the map just for a point of reference. Move this over and make this a little bit smaller. go. All right, so now we're getting into this Egan area. So let me go ahead and mark this off. Okay, so we're in this, basically we're in this area right here. Squares up. That's this area right here. Comes across and goes up. A couple definitely points of interest, and this is probably the most, for me, across everything I've seen, this one right here is probably the most interesting to me as far as what I want to go and do a video for y'all with Dave, because we've got, I'm going to send you that far there, Google Map. Let's go back over here. That would be this area right here on the Google Map side. Okay, on the contour map side, what we're seeing is eye spot, eye spot, eye spot, eye spot, all leading into deeper waters. Some declining quicker than others, but we got some deeper area back in here. We've got deep waters all out here. So it's a good place for fish to come into, feed. They can ambush prey up on these shallow spots, drive them up there, push them up there and feed. It's a good place for them to go ahead and get down into some deeper water without having to move too far. You know, this looks like a really good area because there's plenty of areas for them to hang. If they're, you know, wintertime, it gets a little, they tend to get down in the deeper areas. Summertime, they tend to be in a little bit more shady when they're spawning, or shallow. When they're spawning, they're going to be up in shallower waters as well. So this is kind of an all-season area. Deep water for winter, shallow water, they can move up. Even in wintertime, they're still going to move. They still got to find food. This gives them a chance to drive bait fish up into the shallows and ambush them, push them around where they want to. There's some places that they can drive them through in these deeper areas in between these shallow spots. So this will probably be the first area that Dave and I go ahead and just box off here and go ahead and film this whole area. Should give you every bit of information we can. All right, carrying on, let's just cover a couple more areas, then we'll go and wrap this up. All the way in the far southwest corner here, we've got mostly shallow areas along here. We've got a higher point here that drops off. You can see because the contour lines close together, dropping off into this deeper pocket here. This may be a good area. Plus everything kind of converges into this land right here. So might be a good place to find some fish holding up in these areas here. This area right here as well, we've got all shallow along here, but then you can see it drops off. Here's our lines going out to deeper water. This whole white section here is all deeper water, surrounded by shallows here, shallows here. So this would be a good area also to go ahead and work along, throw open the shallows, bring it out across these ledges, drop offs into the deeper water, see what happens there. And finally, we have our three right here, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Of the three, this one is the most interesting to me because it has the most amount of differing depths. We've got shallows, we've got what looks like would be a wall, a ledge, fish hold against here. They've got deep waters, a little bit of everything for the fish to hold up in here. Here's more, a little bit more just deeper water areas. Not a lot for depth changes to speak of. Yes, there's depth changes, but not as great of depth change as there is from this shallow moving down into this deeper water here. And this is pretty much kind of moderately shallow into some deeper area along here. So the point is, there's all kinds of places to fish out in this lake. Now with use of this map, you're going to be able to be a little more selective in where you spend your time out here on the lake. So I pointed out some, and look, there's a lot of y'all that are familiar with these types of maps. You're going to find some other areas of interest that may serve you well for finding fish. Let me just make this a little smaller, and bear with me there, folks. Okay, shrink it down a little bit more. All right, so yeah, once you have this map, you're going to be able to find areas that you may see that you think are going to be productive. Again, I didn't cover all the different little nuances of the way these things are put together. Want to just cover the high sections, the hills, the mounds, whatever you want to call them. Because I think for most people, they're going to be the easiest to find and make the most sense to spend time around when looking for fish. So, as always, Dave and I want to thank you for subscribing to our channel. We really appreciate that. Comment, as always. Hey, if this made sense to you, you're glad to see this contour map. Comment below. Hey, I've been waiting on this. Just let us know that is a topic of interest for you. And we're looking forward to being able to put more and more videos together for y'all. So, hey, if you see us on the water, give us a holler, shout us out. And let's get together and do some videos together while we're out there. Not looking for secret spots, but just see how your day went, how your catch totals went, and what was working bait-wise. We don't have to get specific, but hey, topwater was hitting it today. Jerk baits were working, rattle traps were working, whatever it may be. I hit the deep waters and did well. I hit the shallows and did well. I hit the drop-offs. Just basic information like that. Everybody likes to know. So with that again, hey, this is Barry. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.